Hello, I'm Paddy Sweeney from 9 News, and this is one of Perth's busiest intersections, the corner of St George's Terrace and William Street. But come the last Sunday in August, this traffic hotspot transforms into a sea of enthusiastic athletes ready to tackle one of the biggest challenges on Perth's running calendar. Today we reflect on Perth's most iconic community event, look to the future and discover how your support of the Chevron City to Surf for Activ helps the WA community.
The highlight is probably just before the start of the run, when everybody's getting hyped up and wishing each other well, and it's just such a great atmosphere, it really is.
Just a blast to be down on St George's Terrace and looking up the street there and that real eerie feeling, and knowing that you got all the best runners in the state striving to get to City Beach first.
3, 2, 1. Good luck, everyone. Take care now.
Everybody is so excited. Nobody there is miserable. They're all just waiting to go. It's brilliant.
3, 2, 1. And we're off.
It's such a racist course. You know, there's the undulations. You roll up St George's Terrace and then you're rolling through Subiaco past Perry Lakes and then into City Beach. You can't beat it. It's just fantastic. So it's a real special event, and most athletes, it gave them that little bit of credibility if you could do well in this event. For everyone, for the guys, the female athletes out there, the wheelies, anyone that got out there and raced the course that day, it's just a fantastic,
and that was
iconic
what I
event.
think a lot of athletes would get themselves up for, would be this event. And as an athlete, the City to Surf was a big part of growing up, and that's where you sort of would put yourself against. And I think it did at some stage clash with the national cross country, and for a distance athlete in Australia, that's a really iconic event, and people like Ray Boyd would run at that event, and then he'd fly back and then put himself on the line for the next day to race in the City to Surf, because it meant so much to him as well to be a part of this event. And that's just the remarkable pull that the City to Surf has in amongst the distance running community here in Perth.
Ray Boyd breaks the finish tape and the course record with a super fast time of 35 minutes and 54 seconds.
There's so much for everyone, and that's evident that this has been the biggest single community event in WA from a numbers perspective, and obviously, as we mentioned before, it's supporting such a great cause in Activ.
The Chevron City to Surf is the largest fundraiser for Activ, providing valuable programs and employment services to thousands of people living with disability in WA.
So we give people living with disability an opportunity to have a go at employment with us, but also to connect with their community. So the guys who do the headsets for Qantas are exceptionally proud of the fact that everybody who flies out of Perth is using one of their headsets. It gives them a real connection into the community they live in.
I've been lucky enough to go to some of the places of employment, and I remember one guy I met, and you've never met a person more proud of their job. And that enthusiasm, I walked away going, how can I ever go home from a day of training and be upset because I didn't bounce the ball I wanted to? Yet here's a guy that was just so overwhelmed with pride in the job he had, and you start appreciating things a lot more. And he was one of many employees that Activ have, and he just love it. It's beautiful, it's natural, and it's something you want to put into your own life.
I've taken part in the Activ City to Surf for many years, and it's a wonderful community event. I'm very proud to be supporting the City to Surf and raising funds for Activ and people living with a disability. They provide absolutely invaluable support to thousands of Western Australians.
Activ have been working hard in the community since 1951, starting with a group of families who believed their children living with intellectual disability deserved better. Activ is now WA's leading disability services provider, and the community have shown their support in committing to the City to Surf event year after year.
Well, we've done them all, Phil and I, since 1975. They keep putting them on and we keep doing them, We've been very, very lucky, actually. This City to Surf's been terrific.
I've done them all except the first two. I got into it simply because Bob was running a lot in those days and I never saw him, so I thought, well, if I can't beat him, I'll join him.
We start off together, then young Phil starts moving. We go up to that first hill, and then I meet Phil at the end.
Yep.
And Alison's ahead of both of us. This is
Not always. Phil and I are, Phil's sometimes in
close.
front of me, but sometimes I'm in front of him.
Yeah, as long as we get to the start and we get to the finish, that's it.
It's pleasurable. The whole thing is just pleasurable, except for the hills.
Rise up to Kings Park, the first hill to conquer.
So many people attack that first hill or get excited and start too quickly. So pacing yourself from early on. I always like to think steady up the first hill and the race starts when you get to the top.
Lauren Shelley was the fastest woman to reach the finishing line. Her time, 43 minutes 52.
For a lot of us runners in the WA running community, the 12 kilometre is what it's all about. It's just got that prestige associated with it, and it's something we really strive to win. My best distances in competing are half marathon and marathon. I've represented Australia at the Commonwealth Games in the marathon, but I still love the big city kind of fun runs, so the City to Surf kind of event is lovely.
I'm rapt to be up here again on the podium.
The numbers have just grown. I think the first one there was about 3,000 runners from memory, and now there's 40,000.
From those aiming for the top to families embracing the community spirit, Dave has been running over 3 generations. He used to take his kids in a pram and now hits the track with his grandchildren.
I really enjoy it, and particularly with the involvement with the kids. I've really enjoyed the involvement with the kids. It's been wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling seeing your kids, pushing with your kids, and then seeing your kids finish when they're on their own, and then them taking their kids. It's very emotional. I tease the kids because they have these nice luxury big wheel pushers these days, that it's easy for them pushing their kids. It's much easier than when I was a lad. I'm one of the luckiest men in the world. I've got a wonderful wife, wonderful children, wonderful grandchildren, all fit and healthy. And I think it's wonderful the way Activ Foundation help people, children in particular, who aren't as fortunate as my children are.
So many people run for fun and are keen to raise money for Activ. And after the break, we meet one of this year's Activ All-Stars, who is also raising money for this great cause. The 4 kilometre option is incredibly popular among families, and this year one of the youngest Activ All-Stars is going to light up the course with her family by her side.
Disability, I think it's just a word. She does bring a lot of love and joy to us. She's a little sunshine. That's her name, Mia, Little Sunshine. Being part of the All-Star team, it's great for us because we get to show little Mia off to all of Perth, and also to raise some funds for Activ. It means a lot because they've taken notice of Mia, and we're trying to get a message through to everyone. Having a disability, it's not a disease or anything, it's just being a normal person that sees the world in a different way, which really we should all see it their way because it's much better.
Seeing the world through the eyes of 4-year-old Mia brings a lot of joy to this family.
She's fun-loving, always trying to get up to mischief. She loves pretend playing, and she loves her music. She's a wiggle fanatic. Michael and Leo are her brother and sister. They take a big part in Mia's life as well. Leah loves to draw with Mia, and Michael has to have pretend tea parties, a lot of pretend tea parties.
The Activ Foundation offer respite services that gives people with a disability the chance to try different activities and meet new people, which also provides carers and families with a little time out.
It gives us a break.
It gives us a break
to go and do what we want to do with our other kids. Go to the movies, the supermarket, you know, and
do shopping in peace. There is a lot of help out there for families. You just got to know it's out there, because I don't think the word is out yet that families with any type of disability have so much support.
For Mia and her family, there's still quite a bit of training to be done to be race ready, but Mia is keen to lead the way.
We walk around the block maybe a little bit slower than we should, but...
Oh, she likes to dance. You know, while she's
yeah, we go for walks.
Yeah, she sees a shadow on the floor and there she goes off dancing.
We take 2 steps forward, a little dance, and then we run back to where we started from. But we walk around the block just to get her used to, like, try to do long distance walking. Yes, Mia? We would love for everyone to enter because it's a fantastic organisation. I mean, all the help they give people with disability, and just to come out and enjoy the day. It's fun, it's a way to get fit, and you get to meet all these wonderful people, and you get to see what disability it's all about. Inclusion is the best thing for them. So I think once you know what their abilities are, you'll be amazed what they can do. Without support and without anyone telling them they're doing such an awesome job, they feel alone. We felt alone when we first started, so it's a big deal.
The experience, both for the All-Stars and for everybody else, is incredible. So I've been lucky enough to join the All-Stars every year, and the engagement with participants and supporters is just exceptional. And everybody's experience is made better because the All-Stars are there.
It's an initiative they started a few years ago. So normally it's 5 people living in Western Australia with a disability that Activ helps out. They get to travel around Western Australia, be a part of all the regional walks or runs, and then it obviously finishes here in Perth. They get caught up on stage, given medals, and just that raw enthusiasm. It's genuine, it's contagious, and to see it on all their faces is brilliant. With the 12K available, the 21 and the marathons available in Perth, I do cop a bit of ribbed here and there from my teammates who make fun of me for only doing the 4K walk, but I think it's the best one to be a part of. It's casual, it's a great way to start your Sunday. And last year, when I was doing the 4-kilometre walks, one of the Activ All-Stars by the name of Connor, he insisted on holding hands the whole time. It was fantastic, just waving, clapping, meeting people, taking selfies along the way. So what I thought would be a 20-minute stroll on a Sunday turned into about a 2-hour event. But yeah, no, it was amazing, and we did that 4 times last year together.
This is a day for everyone. Come out, be involved and support Activ as they support families in Western Australia.
Coming up, we hit the marathon track with an athlete who knows no barriers.
Good
2018 marks 10 years of the marathon event, a spectacular course taking in the sights of Perth. Not only is it the largest marathon in WA, it's also the only closed road race in the state. It's a contest many want to achieve.
This marathon's particularly special to me because of the Activ Foundation said yes. That was in itself quite amazing to me. And also I've done the 4K, I've done the 12K, I've done the half marathon, but I've never done the marathon. So this is going to be my first marathon for Activ and my 10th marathon overall.
More than 30 years ago, Jo was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, but it's only been in the last 6 years that her mobility has become more difficult. To help Jo get over the line, she's using the aid of a functional electronic stimulation device.
It uses the same technology that's used in games, video games, believe it or not, and it senses when you're going to lift your foot up, and it automatically starts to stimulate this nerve that's paralysed, so the foot's automatically forced to lift up, so you don't fall over your feet anymore.
For 41 days, Jo will walk 1 kilometre a day on her treadmill, and then on event day she'll complete the last kilometre on course, crossing the finish line to a cheering crowd.
42 Ks in 42 days. This is my catchphrase. Been very, very fortunate, I have to say. I'm not going to get down about it. That's not me. I'm a yacht skipper by trade, and half of our life was spent working out what we could do if something went wrong. So I'm not going to give up just because I can't do a marathon in the conventional way. I found a way that I can run a marathon, or at least I can walk a marathon, so I'm going to go for it.
marathon had been going for a few years, and we'd sort of gained a bit of a reputation. We started getting some really good quality athletes. There was good prize money, and we started getting the better athletes from Africa coming over. So this particular year, it's about the 36-kilometre mark. You go across Selby Street and you go up the hill past the Institute of Management, and they'd got to that point where they were about to have a go. So they've come across Selby Street, they're going up the hill, and they're kind of in a group of 6 or 8, and they've just fanned out across the road. And you could see that they're all kind of just looking at each other, working out who was looking all right and who wasn't. And as it turned out, I think that's the course record. Actually, that year where the guy with 6 Ks to go, just amazing when you see those real runners and they just run away. And it's amazing when you've got guys who are going 3-minute 7, 3-minute 10K pace for a whole marathon.
Also on the world stage and keen to break records is a young athlete who is set for paratrack fame.
I was born with cerebral palsy, so it means I was suffered brain damage before I was born, and that just basically means that my muscles in my legs are tight. Things like fine motor skills and balance and coordination are affected too. I was in high school and just fancied having a bit of a challenge, so yeah, I jumped in a track chair and pushed the 4K it was to raise money for Rebound WA. It was a great atmosphere for me, like being in the chair and just racing with hundreds of other people. It was just a really great community vibe. I think sport's given me a lot of confidence. I definitely feel like I have a purpose, in competing and in sport. So yeah, and also just to have something that I'm good at is always nice. I've been doing athletics seriously now for about 2 years, and in that time I've managed to climb to 5th in the world rankings, and I'm now starting to compete internationally as a wheelchair racer. So that's really exciting for me. Got my sights on Worlds and Paralympics.
We encourage our kids to get involved in things like the City to Surf as a challenge, because it's not just about doing the physical activity, it's about being mentally healthy, having the challenge and getting yourself up and about. Have a go, absolutely have a go. One of the great things about City to Surf is you can do it with your able-bodied friends, you can do it with your physically disabled friends, you can do it with everyone. And so if they don't feel like they can, come and find a community that can support them and get the equipment that can help them.
After the break, expert race tips and how you can be part of this wonderful community event. The 12-kilometre race is the most popular event in the Chevron City to Surf for Activ. It's an icon of the WA sporting calendar, and this is the 44th year the community will be hitting the track to raise money for Activ.
Most people will be doing at least one long run a week, and the aim of their long run is to be getting up towards the distance of the race or longer than the distance of the race. In the case of the 12K, you might be building up to between 10 and 16 kilometres as your longest run, and ideally doing that at least a couple of weeks out. That gives you the confidence that you can kind of make the distance on the day. The second thing for those faster runners may be that they're including some speed work, but I think one of the other big considerations for the City to Surf is the hills. We all know the first hill up Malcolm Street really hurts, and then you've got the hills up Oceanic Drive coming towards the finish line when you're tired are always really tough. So spending a bit of time on hills it certainly helps to get you ready for that. Curtin has a team for Run for Reconciliation, and it's certainly a cause I believe strongly about. Curtin has a reconciliation action plan and always encourages inclusivity of all people, including Indigenous people.
At Chevron, a core value to ours is diversity and inclusion, and also for me, being Noongar is being about acceptance and being included, and part of the event is including all people from all walks of life and backgrounds, so it's amazing.
I'm running in the 12-kilometre event, and I just love the buzz. It's so exciting. Thousands and thousands of people all running with a common cause, but at every level of ability. So it's for everyone.
I know that not many teams train on a Sunday. It's usually the one day we have off, so there's no excuse. I'm not saying you have to get out there and do 12Ks, 21 or the marathon, but if you're like me, 4 kilometres is about the maximum you want to do. But get out there, and if you can't do anything physically, then clap on the sidelines, help raise money away from it, or raise awareness. But that's the least we can do with the profiles we have here in WA.
The volunteer program in its isolation is a massive community involvement. Without the regional, we're talking about 4,000 hours of community just on the event, just simply on the event. So that's in the sort of the Thursday, Friday, Saturday for the race bib collection, and then on the day of the event. So if we add the regionals to that, it's sort of over 4,000, close to 4,500 hours.
The behind-the-scenes work is enormous and always requires the support of dedicated volunteers to help make this event a great success. But if the success you're after is at the finish line, which for some is just to get there, the key is to run your own race.
I think one of the really important things with running is it's not about necessarily being the best, but being your best. And I've always loved that feeling in running of getting the most out of myself on any one day. And I think that's the same for anyone running, is it's not necessarily about who else you're up against, but it's about getting the most out of yourself.
We see so many family moments and so many people cross the line, and it's not, you know, you don't have to be a winner to cross the line first, you know, just to get out there and race. You're a winner, you know, from this event's perspective. One of the funniest things, I interviewed Michael Thompson, who had a bet with Liam Bartlett. Liam Bartlett, you know, just about killed himself. Tomo was going, I realised halfway near the end that he wasn't going to beat him because he was just too competitive and let him go. But there's that sort of rivalry that happens with people that have worked together. You've got to laugh at it, and we're laughing at it because we haven't ran
at the end, because we see it at the end.
We haven't had to run that.
No, that's right.
Michael Thompson completing another City to Surf.
And it's a wonderful event. You'll really enjoy it, and you'll be doing some good to the community as well.
I'm very proud to support Activ Foundation and the magnificent work they do for so many West Australians. And I'm proud to be involved in such a fantastic event.
It's the biggest community-based event in Western Australia. Get behind it, support it, and I guarantee you where the funds go, you won't regret your decision to partake in the City to Surf for Activ. It's brilliant.
It's about making an impact for the better, for people that are less fortunate than what we are. So I think it's fantastic that Team Chevron pull this together and encourage their workforce to be a part of it. So I would definitely encourage other workplaces out there to do the same and get their employees to get out there to make a difference in the community.
Just go and get involved because it's fun, it raises money for a very good cause, and why not? Life's too short to sit and watch it on the telly.
City Beach is the finish line for this year's Chevron City to Surf for Activ. A very welcome sight for many and a great achievement for all participants. To be part of this year's event, whether on course, as a volunteer or to make a donation, head along to the Activ website to register. Not only will you be part of this great community event, but you'll also help make a difference to the lives of those with disabilities living in our state. So go on, get out there and good luck.